So this morning, I was able to chance upon the radio program that has live streaming televised because of the Wi-Fi of my favorite broadcasters, Deo Macalma and Angelo Palmones. So it's from DZRH, and the portion where I've become an avid, an obsessive compulsive viewer was the blind item part. He would let the audience or the listeners guess who he was referring to. And today, this morning, it was all about prosecutor uh, doing something reprehensible with to his secretary. So, in my case, I am based here in the province, right? And according to their exchanges, to their banters, it had happened in Metro Manila. So what I'm pointing out now is the human interest concern. There's a commonality between human beings, between people, whatever the race, whatever the social status we are enjoying, whatever the economic class, we all enjoy a good story, especially if it's supposed to be based on real life, the human interest angle. So I share this place with um, different occupants. So we kind of, there's always a reason, a good conversational piece. And this is Juanito. You say, hi, baby. Who is that, mom? Is that mommy? Chabot. So at the risk of sounding presumptuous or having illusions of grandeur, I know that the human interest in my story, being um, part of a political family, there's bound to be a crossover. It would, the story about me will cross over boundaries and borders. That's why, one point of interest in this is that in our FB, the friends list, we had talked about why my uncle, the former mayor of Lucena City, Ramon Talaga Jr., became Mon Yazon. So, because I used to write the name of my uncle whenever there was a form that needed to be filled up, and there's a field there asking for the name of um, relatives. And in the absence of my father, or probably secondary to my father, I would write the name of course, one of the famous members of the family here in the Lucena City, being the former mayor. And then, my new friends list would not now associate his name to mine because he had put there Mon Yazon. And when I had assumed the mantle of being the CEO of Talaga Information and Business Consultancy, there, Talaga Information and Business Consultancy, of course, T, everybody knows in my circle that T stands for Talaga. And we should have we should have been sharing the same name, right? So the association, and you know, um, I uh, I am not suspicious by nature, and I am not attributing how those accounts have been suspended for one reason or another. So I had to find a way, to go beyond the names of the relatives and the family members, um, as my references to become the person whom I had worked to be. So in the private offices, private government companies, and as well as government offices, as I introduce myself, having the persona going out of anonymity, I have reached a point of confidence, in the work that I did, in the familiarity, because of the transactions and the contracts that I was able to be entrusted with as the other party, because the contracts that I signed had been enforced, wherein the premise had been one of the contracting parties was me having that public persona. And so if that contract, it's a technical proof it's an evidence of my own, the reputation that I have managed to earn over the work that I did that would somehow clear my name, diba? From all those allegations, from all the human interest, or should I say garbage, that had rendered me as undesirable person to enter a country, for instance, a person so despicable that, I should not be watched or I should not be listened to by the youth because of the things that had been attributed to me from the time that I was, in the past up to the present. So because of the clearances, because of the time devoted, imagine TIBC had opened to become a live streaming and mainstream company with public events. Since then, I became a mainstream. Okay, since then, I was able to rise above ground, coming from underground. Okay. So, since that time, since that time, since that time, many things have happened that I am able to justify the uniqueness of the assistance in order for any contract, any negotiation to proceed, in order for the case to be elevated, in order for me, to defend myself in whatever venue there is, whenever a wall will be hit, whenever there's a technical hurdle to that in need of in need of sorting out. Because who among the Clarissa Talaga Garcia from Lucena City who has prominent family members who come from a political family, who among those, I mean, it would be a question best asked of my relatives and my family members on as to who the Clarissa that they would be referring to, that they would be um, representing or signing for. But as for me, I am so thankful that the government offices and the private companies who have um, reviewed the documents that had been issued me in order to validate and become my references in place of those references who had directly um, objected to how their names had been listed or brought in. So I'm just so thankful today, Monday, and in the coming days as I represent myself in person, being having acquired that reputation, familiarity, and patronage from the people who had supported my work back then to this day. Salamat.